Hello, hello. Okay, good. Hey, everybody. Happy Saturday. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and we're going to talk about the mysterious death of Kendrick Johnson. This is an old case. This actually happened in 2013, and I remember hearing about it in 2013 and thinking a lot of things did not add up even then. And here we are in 2026, and things are still not adding up. So we're going to get into a deep dive on that. But just to give you a little backstory, in January 2013, 17-year-old high school student from Valdosta, Georgia, was found dead, upside down, inside a rolled up wrestling mat in his school gymnasium. Now, official reports said it was an accident, but his family, independent experts, and thousands of online sleuths say it was murder and a massive cover up. So we're going to break down the timeline, the conflicting autopsies, the suspicious evidence, the theories, and the ongoing fight for justice more than a decade later. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive like this. So let's get into it. Thank you for hanging on with me here. So, if you look at the picture here, this is Kendrick Johnson. Like I said, I remember hearing this case back in 2013 and thinking nothing that was coming out was making any sense. And now, 13 years later, I'm looking at it and it makes even less sense now. So, Kendrick Lamar Johnson was born October 10th, 1995, in Valdosta, Georgia. He was a typical high school sophomore. Loved sports, played football, basketball, and ran track. Friends described him as friendly, athletic, and full of life. He was not a troublemaker. He had no major enemies, and nothing that was mentioned. And he was just a kid trying to make it through high school, as we all were when we were in high school. But on January 10th, 2013, everything changed. Kendrick went to Lowndes, I'm not sure, Lowndes or Lowndes High School, as usual. Surveillance footage shows him entering the old gym around 1:09 p.m. He was last seen alive shortly after, but he never came home. His mother, Jacqueline Johnson, reported him missing around midnight the next morning. Reported him missing around midnight. And the next morning on January 11th, students climbing on a stack of old gym mats made the horrifying discovery. Now, I have seen the photos of how he was found, photos of the autopsies. It's gruesome. So I will not be sharing those here. But Kendrick's body was inside one of those vertical rolled up mats. Head first down, feet up near the top. So he was literally just upside down. And the mat was about 6 feet tall and about 3 feet wide. And he was dead. I don't even know how anyone ends up like that. I really don't. So, with this discovery, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office investigated. Their conclusion was an accidental death by positional asphyxia. Now, that mat was 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide. How do you end up in a rolled up mat upside down? So asking that question. Now, their theory, Kendrick went into the old gym to grab his shoe, allegedly dropped inside the rolled mat, which I don't know how that even happens if it's standing straight up. He climbed in head first to reach it, got stuck upside down and couldn't escape and suffocated. And blood had pooled into his head, but there was no foul play. Now, I've seen the crime scene photos. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, if he's upside down, yeah, blood's going to pool up to his head, but there were other injuries that doesn't explain. Okay, so the initial autopsy backed up this theory, and no major trauma, no drugs, no defensive wounds. The case was ruled accidental after months of investigation. So this again, 2013. This is what they decide: accidental asphyxiation. In 2022, after reopening, the sheriff again said no evidence of foul play and no cover up. But that's when things get weird. The family wasn't buying it. And honestly, if I was this boy's mother, father, family member, I wouldn't buy it either. So this is when the independent autopsies come into play. Kendrick's parents, Kenneth and Jacqueline Johnson, demanded answers, as would I. They exhumed his body for a second autopsy by Dr. William Anderson. His findings: blunt force trauma to the neck and soft tissues, unexplained, non-accidental, but not positional asphyxia. And I've seen the photos of when they pulled him out of that mat, and there is bruising all the way down here. And you don't get that from positional asphyxia. You just don't. Third review. This is linked to some sources link this to Dr. Michael Baden, echoed blunt force trauma. Now, the family claimed organs were missing from the first autopsy: his brain, his heart, his lungs, and were replaced with newspaper during burial. They called it mutilation and evidence tampering. Now, I did do a little bit of research on this, and nowhere is this practice with a medical examiner's office to remove the organs and replace with newspaper. In fact, they do remove the organs during autopsy because they weigh them and all that, but they are then put back into the body. Everything is sewn back up, and then it's sent off to the funeral home for burial or cremation or whatever it is that they choose to do. I even looked that up, and funeral homes don't even do that. So, yeah, lots of questions on that one. Now, the surveillance footage, the family said key parts were missing or edited. A gap in the gym video, shoes allegedly planted later, blood on the wall 50 feet away didn't match Kendrick's. And of course, you have the theories exploding at that point. Was Kendrick beaten? Stuffed in the mat, involved in the sons of the FBI agent? And that's the other thing. That's the weird thing. The two people that have come up as the most, if this was a murder, the two people that come up in question a lot are the Bell brothers, whose father is a retired FBI agent. So, and that, I have another part to this story after we get through all this. So, like I said, theories exploded. Was Kendrick beaten? Was he stuffed in the mat? Did it involve the sons of an FBI agent? And the family filed massive lawsuits, $100 million initially, later $1 billion against officials for cover-up and false death certificate claims. And as of 2025, some lawsuits are still active or being reconsidered by the appeals court. So, but let's look more at the more suspicious elements, okay? So, shoe theory. Did he really dive in for a sneaker? Friend said he had his shoes. Why go head first into a tight space? That doesn't make any sense for somebody to do that. The autopsy conflicts. Official accident, independent homicide via trauma. And then we have the missing footage. School cameras had gaps during the critical time. Witnesses, rumors of two white students, the Bell brothers, involved, sons of an FBI agent. No charges ever filed. One faced unrelated scrutiny. And then the reopenings. The Department of Justice reviewed it in 2013. No charges. Reopened it in 2021. Closed in 2022 as an accident. Family still fights, holding press conferences as recently as 2024. Many say it's a perfect storm accident. Others see racial undertones in this small southern town. Black teen, powerful families, quick closure. And then you have the accident. He reached in, got trapped, couldn't yell for help. Gym was noisy slash empty, supported by official probes. Murder cover up. Beaten elsewhere. Body hidden in mat to stage accident. Motive, bullying, jealousy, or something darker. Family alleges stun gun marks and trauma. I don't know about that. And then you have the documentaries like Finding Kendrick Johnson and countless YouTube videos like this one fuel the murder narrative. Online communities remain divided. Some call it resolved accident, others demand justice. The case highlights distrust in institutions, especially for Black families seeking answers. So let me get on to that part because I was doing my own little deep dive earlier today about this because somebody tagged me in a page that was ranting all this. They call themselves the KJ Army. Justice for Kendrick Johnson, justice for KJ. You know, these are the hashtags that are out there. And like I said, from 2013, when I first heard about this, I never thought anything was right with this case. I thought it was extremely suspicious. And when you're dealing with, states like Louisiana, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, there's a lot of, still even to this day, a lot of racism in those towns, especially if it's predominantly white and you have very few people that are not white in that town. Now, I did find some depositions people took where the Bell brothers, one accused the other of murdering Kendrick. There's supposedly recorded conversations of one reporting, admitting that he killed Kendrick. It was over jealousy of his girlfriend, I don't know. I do find it interesting that these boys' father is a retired FBI agent. And one person who's been covering this case for some time has been getting threats from Ricky Bell, the father of the Bell boys, who is a pastor of a church there in Georgia and keeps saying, you keep talking about this, something's going to happen to you. KJ was on drugs. Everybody knew that. There's no evidence of that in the autopsies, that he was ever on anything. So why would you put that out there? You put that out there to get, this suspicion off your own kids. Now, I know parents will do anything for their children. I am no different than any other one. And if your kids are looking at a murder charge, you best believe if you've got ties to law enforcement and you can tweak some things, you're probably going to utilize that. And I think that's what their father did. Do I think this is an unfortunate accident? No, I do not. I do not at all. I think Kendrick Johnson was murdered. There is no way on earth that he could have gotten himself in that mat wedged looking for a damn shoe. I don't see that happening, especially considering that when they pulled him out, his shoe was in there, but it was coming from the angle like it was already on his foot and it came off as they were pulling him out of the mat. So that's what I really think. I think his family has been harassed, has been ignored. And I think anybody who's come forward to give evidence about this, they have also been harassed and ignored. And when you're dealing with justice in a small town, whoever has the most power is the one that wins. And I think that's what's happened here. But I truly, truly believe Kendrick Johnson was murdered. That's my opinion. Based on the evidence, based on the photos, based on all the things going around, Kendrick Johnson was murdered. There, like I said, there are recordings that have not been authenticated that have people confessing to this. I don't know why they've not been authenticated. I don't know why no one has done anything about this. But I applaud his mother and father for not stopping, for demanding justice for their son, because he died unnecessarily. And we've got too many kids running around here taking out justice against others because they made them mad. Oh, you flirted with my girlfriend. Oh, you looked at my boyfriend. I'm going to kill you. That makes no sense. This is animalistic behavior, and it needs to stop. That's what I think. But I think Kendrick Johnson was a talented, friendly kid who crossed the wrong people, and now he's dead. And his family is not getting the justice they deserve. So I hope they get it. But I wanted to talk about him because he needs to be talked about. This is a case that's been ongoing for 13 years. I could not imagine living with misjustice that their son received. I could not imagine living with that. I mean, my child's dead. I'm not living anyway, but just trying to get that bit of justice for your kid when you know something's not right. And I'm sorry, I looked at this case for all of 3 seconds and I knew something wasn't right back in 2013. Now we're in 2026. It's still not right. So I think people need to be, I don't know, open, honest. And I'm sorry, your conscience is never going to be clear if you know something about this case and you've not spoken the truth about it. Your conscience will never be clear. And I'm sorry, sir, Mr. Ricky Bell, of the, let me see, what church was he with? Give me a second here. I got to look that up. Because I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Let's see, church. Grace Fellowship Church of Kenneford. Yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself. Putting out lies, propaganda, threatening people. Really? I hope somebody comes after you. I really do. Because if your kids are in fact guilty of this, now we know where they got it from. But I think they're involved because if they didn't kill him, somebody did. Let me say that. Because all we know is that your two sons had an issue with him, and now the kid is dead. Makes them suspects number 1 and number 2. So they need to get their conscience clean. They need to confess what they know. But I don't believe that boy was on drugs. I don't believe that boy hurt himself intentionally or accidentally. And if you are the Bell brothers and you see this, speak the truth. Go before God and law and speak the truth. That's all I'm going to say to that. So, more than 13 years later, Kendrick Johnson's death remains contested. Official rulings say accident. His family says murder, and they're still fighting in court as of 2025, going into 2026. So what do you think? Accident or something sinister? I've already given you my theory, but drop yours in the comments below. And like if you want more deep dives. Subscribe for weekly true crime, and share this video to help spread awareness. Justice for Kendrick, and thank you for watching Red True Crime. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one. As I always say, be weird, be rude, be safe, and have a great weekend. Bye.